Broadcasting from the KC Coyote Studios, you're listening to Kearney Live on 102.7 KPGZ. Kearney Live is presented by Kearney Trust Company. Kearney Trust, 310 West 92 Highway in Kearney. The phone number is 816-628-6666. And now here's the hosts of Kearney Live, Mike Davis and Jim Dickerson.
And welcome to Kearney Live. I am your host, Mike Davis, along with producer-engineer Brian Watts, who's the hardest working man in Kearney, and everybody knows that by now. I've also got my good friend and co-host, Jim Dickerson, to my right. And today we're going to have a pretty fun show, Jim. We've got a couple of guys from the city in here, one of whom is a pretty good friend of ours that we know because he's got the office downstairs. Mayor Randy Pogue is with us today. We also have Jim Eldridge, and Jim is the city administrator. And I'm going to ask him in a minute, what exactly do you administrate, Jim? Tell me how that works. And he's going to go on and on about it. I'll have to slow him down because I think he's got a lot to talk about. Let's just before we get started, Jim, I'd like to mention that we have a new member on the KPGZ, the 102.7 FM Board of Directors, who is just a class act, a wonderful Kearney citizen, Mr. Jim Dyer, who's not going to be on the show today, but I wanted to make sure that folks knew.
I thought you were talking about me for just a minute.
Well, you're already, indeed, you are a class act, and you're all of those things, but Jim Dyer is just a model citizen of Kearney, Missouri, and we are honored. It is a privilege to have a man of his character and background on the board of directors at 102.7 FM. So with that said, Jim, let's kick this thing off. I'm going to ask Randy, our Mayor Randy Pogue. You had mentioned earlier, as we were off the air, Randy, that you've been having what you call meeting with mayor. And you've had two of these meetings with the mayor whereby citizens are able to come in and ask questions and come up with ideas and suggestions that say, basically, here's kind of what we'd like to see accomplished. And maybe if you're interested, could you help us out a little bit? Tell us a little bit about how those things have been going.
Yeah, so I've had two meetings, and as you mentioned, we do call that meeting with the mayor. And it's an opportunity for me to have some one-on-one direct communication with the residents of Kearney that I serve. Next meeting, I would like to put in a plug for that. The next meeting is November 14th, 7 p.m. at Kearney City Hall. Last meeting was in the morning. Previous meeting was the afternoon. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm available at different times for the residents that may work at different times as well. I think the meetings have been positive, and really the main conversations, the kind of common topic, if you would say that I've received, the talking point has really been pedestrian safety, improving sidewalks, crosswalks, and then also speeders, people speeding through neighborhoods. And then, as you would imagine, the other topic has been a pool.
Well, I guess all of those things sort of surprise me. I mean, from the standpoint of having a group of citizens, with the ability to talk one-on-one. Well, not so much one-on-one, but at least in the same room with the mayor, where basically they have your ear. I would expect things like folks complaining about taxes and things of that nature, and things that are far less interesting in my estimation. I want to talk about the speeders.
You bring up a good point, because that's one of the things that's so nice about Kearney. If you're going to have a meeting with the mayor, and the biggest issue you have, and I'm not belittling that issue, but if the biggest issues you have is speeders, which I think every city in the country has, and pedestrian safety, that's good. Because you're right. I mean, not to call anyone out, but there's a certain county in the area. I mean, they have some things to discuss over there. So
I know where you're going.
I think that is a huge.
I would agree, Jim.
Yeah, a huge kudos.
Easy for you to say.
A big thing for the city of Kearney.
Yeah,
yeah, I would agree, Mike and Jim, and it's really the boards that have served this community and the leadership of our community. For many years, have done a great job with increasing the amenities in our community and the services and what we have available to offer to our residents without increasing taxes. They've done a good job with that. But I obviously take those meetings seriously and work with our police department to get our speed trailer out in the areas of concerns for our residents, and listen to them and do to the best of our ability to solve any concerns they have. Part of that with some of the concerns of traffic through neighborhoods, with the 92 highway project going on, that did, I think, create a temporary increase of traffic through some neighborhoods, people kind of diverting that area and trying to avoid it. But nonetheless, our police department at any given time typically has no more than 4 officers on the road available. And they do a great job of patrolling our city, but unfortunately they can't be everywhere at once. So I appreciate our residents understanding that and the work that our police department does.
Right. The speed. Sorry, Tim.
No, go ahead.
I was curious about the speed trailer because I often see those, and then it gives you a readout of your actual speed. And I'm just curious: are there numbers? What are the indicators that a thing like that would actually slow people down? Is there research that says, hey, this really works?
Yeah. So this trailer for Kearney, it just like anything, Mike, if you would research the effectiveness of a speed trailer, you're going to have mixed reviews. When I did myself, when we made the decision as a board, I was an alderman on the board to purchase this trailer. I found a lot of communities that had said, hey, this has been really effective for us. And obviously there's communities that didn't feel it was effective. But what I can tell you that I know for sure is I do feel that it's been very effective for the city of Kearney, and Assistant Chief Barney Hatfield really kind of leads the way, the trailer. And our specific equipment, it can notify the police department remotely via electronic signal if there's a serious speeder, or it also collects and maintains data. So let's say if Brian said, hey, Mayor Pogue, there's people speeding through my neighborhood, we can put the trailer in his neighborhood, and within a week I can meet one-on-one with Brian, or Assistant Chief Hatfield can, and you can go through results, you can go through counts, you can go through they monitor the violations in 3 different series, so 0 to 5, 5 to 10, and 10 over. And the trailer has showed through those reports that the areas that the trailers have been deployed, it has been successful in decreasing the violations. So
here's a little nugget on the trailers, just in case you wondered.
I do, Jim.
How the stats get skewed, because there are some. I have a little experience with this. It's not only having the trailer, but it's how the trailer is used. So if you have a city that has, let's say, 1 police officer, and they throw a trailer out there, and the whole area knows that there's nobody available, or the police officer's off, or whatever the case may be, the trailer's not as effective. What happens is, and I think Kearney does a great job of using it properly, you have to use the trailer for a couple of things. Number 1, the statistical gathering that the mayor's talked about. Number 2, what a lot of cities do when they have great success is the trailer may be sitting there in a police car right down the street or right near the trailer. Then in your mind, when you see the trailer, you're thinking, oh, there's a police car here with it somewhere.
I got you,
but you don't know when the car's there or not, but the trailer's there 24 hours a day. So Kearney has done a great job of using the trailer in the way it was designed and the way it was fashioned to work. So that's why, just a little nugget on how those things, there's more to it than just slapping a trailer out there.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's information that I learned right here on this show just this moment. So this is very important information.
I feel like my work is done here.
You can go home now, Jim.
And I'm out.
You also mentioned Randy, and then I want to talk just a little bit with Jim Eldridge, but I wanted to cover the sidewalks and pedestrian traffic. Look, as Kearney grows, obviously there's going to be more people on bikes, more people on, walking, folks who are out running, things of that nature, where you kind of hope they have a safe place to be, and certainly away from traffic, hopefully. Let's talk a little bit about that and how you address that particular question.
So I'm a big advocate for safe routes, specifically safe routes to school. And from a concern and meeting with the resident, Jim and I have looked at additional sidewalk projects in our community. Besides the big one that was just completed on 92 Highway, there's a sidewalk project on the Nation Road area to connect the hills of Westwood to Dogwood Elementary. And then the one that was brought up, a concern by a resident that we're looking to act on, and actually I believe we're in the design stages of. Do we receive approval for the design, or is that in the process?
We have retained our engineer to do that work, to make a design.
And that's a new sidewalk that will connect the Brookhaven subdivision on 19th Street to the high school with a crosswalk. A majority of the concerns that we received, or that I received in the meeting, was on state highways. And so, not that we're not sympathetic of those safety concerns, but MoDOT controls, those sidewalks and crosswalks.
It's not really in your wheelhouse.
Right.
Yeah.
So I feel the city of Kearney has a great relationship with MoDOT, specifically Shelley Daniel, and we communicate and pass along those concerns as well.
Very good. Well done, and see how you did that. You answered those questions so clearly. I bet that's exactly the way you do it in the meeting, right?
That's exactly how I do it. Yes. We'll go with that.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. And just real quickly, you said the next meeting is when?
The next meeting is November 14th, 7 p.m., Kearney City Hall.
There you go. You want to talk to the mayor? That's your opportunity. Jim Eldridge, it is a pleasure, number one. Thanks so much for being with us today. Good to see you again.
Thank you, Mike.
You are the city administrator. And remember, just before we went on the air, I said, Jim, what does a city administrator do? Please tell.
I am the person that's designated by the board to operate the day-to-day city operations. I am styled by state statute and our ordinances as the executive assistant to the mayor, and I work under his direction and serve the board. I prepare the annual budget and implement the budget, prepare agendas for our regular meetings, which are on the first and third Mondays of each month at 6:30 p.m. They're public meetings, and we compile the business that needs to be approved by the city, not just paying bills, but actions that might be for planning and zoning, and that's where a topic might come up through a board member. That we would initiate a discussion on and maybe execute a project.
That's it? That's all?
I'm in my office most of the time. My staff performs are my outside eyes, so I'm generally available at City Hall to be found by citizens who might have problems.
It sounds to me like you're probably there 24/7. I mean, everything you just listed, that's a resume. I mean, well done, sir.
They pay me good.
Why are we laughing now?
Well, the best part is he gets to work. I like the part where he says, I work under the direction of the mayor. That's pretty good. That's a good person to work under, I would say.
He has lots of ideas.
Well,
are they good ideas?
They're all excellent ideas.
Not to, throw them under the bus or put them on the spot or anything.
And why would we? But obviously you have the Board of Aldermen, Jim, to help you out. And these are where meetings come together and ideas are spoken of. And I'm curious, though, one of the things you mentioned was the budget. I mean, that's tough. I mean, we're talking about, Kearney's not a great big city, but it's still a pretty sizable budget. Let's be honest about it. And I would imagine every time you write something down on a line item, you're thinking, you can hear the people screaming behind you. It's like, yeah, why are we going to spend money on this? Tell me how difficult it must be, even in a town the size of Kearney, Missouri, to prepare a budget.
Well, it's a group process. We don't do it alone.
Right.
And during the year, needs are brought up by our board, and we attempt to execute on them. And that's we do take notes, and we do. And when it comes together, at least I feel that everyone has had input. That our process is short from the standpoint that we don't have lots of hearings. Some cities do a lot of work sessions and hearings on budgets. Ours is a little bit more abbreviated than that. Maybe because we started out as a small community, and I've been here a good length of time, and maybe somebody else would do it differently. But we attempt to address the issues that are brought forward through citizen complaints, all the way right into the board representing folks that desire to see something done.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. That you're really virtually working on this year round. It sounds like that there's enough input that. Yeah,
it's my Bible. I keep it. I carry it with me. I have one today.
Sounds great. You are listening to Kearney Live. We'll be right back.
Kearney Trust Company is uniquely Kearney. They opened their doors in 1882 and have been financing goals and dreams ever since. Kearney Trust has a team of experienced lenders and a qualified staff to assist you with all of your financial needs. Your success is their priority. Whether you're looking for traditional checking and savings services, or you need cash management, mobile banking, mortgage, or lending services, Kearney Trust will provide you and your business with the resources you need to succeed. Information, speed, and convenience are all valuable commodities in our fast-paced world. For Kearney Trust Company, technology is an addition to, not a replacement for the personal banking relationship they like to have with their customers. The people of Kearney Trust Company focus on and try to fit the needs of all their customers. Kearney Trust Company is your partner for success with 2 convenient locations in Kearney at 310 West 92 Highway and 701 Watson Drive in Price Chopper. The phone number is 816-628-6666. Kearney Trust Company. Banking you can trust. Member FDIC.
And welcome back to Kearney Live. We've got Jim Eldridge in here. He's the city administrator of Kearney, Missouri, and we have your mayor of Kearney, Missouri, Mr. Randy Pogue, and we are just pleased as all get out to have both of these guys in studio at the same time. Jim, you and I, Jim Eldridge, we have a lot of Jims on the show today. Jim Eldridge, the city administrator, you were talking earlier about curbside recycling and the fact that the folks in Kearney, Missouri they're all in when it comes to recycling, and certainly everybody likes to get rid of those bulky items. The household items that tend to just take up space that, you're not using that old, TV sets seem to be, there's a lot of those and things of that nature. Old tires, are those part of it?
Tires are not a part of it.
Well, except for everything but tires.
We want you to take those to the
Nice
Goodyear store in town here, or even at Wingfoot.
There it is.
Across the road.
Yep.
Those folks can take your tires. They have to collect a state fee assessed for those, but we cannot take those on our bulky items.
At least there's a solution for it.
But we've done some changes with our bulky item pickup, which used to be on Saturdays each year, both in the spring and the fall. We still have spring and fall pickups, but this spring we introduced a pickup that was scheduled on the same day that a citizens' trash day occurs. And this coming up on October the 21st, the entire week through October 21st to the 24th, we have our bulky item pickup for citizens that have items that are too big to normally put into their containers. And we do emphasize no tires, no yard waste, no household hazardous waste, no bricks or rock or concrete or construction material. Well, what are we talking about then? Well, we're talking about that sofa that needs to go that's been down in the basement, or you just bought new mattresses and you haven't got them out of your house. Those can be set out. The large old tube type TVs that are very difficult to deal with, they can be recycled, but however, our bulky item pickup can accommodate you for free to get rid of those items.
Does anybody still have a tube TV?
I have one in my basement. Are you kidding? 36-inch.
Do you use it? Do you still watch it?
I watch. I actually use it for my exercise if I'm going to do an indoor exercise. So I watch.
What, you lift the TV? Yeah, because remember how heavy those
Wait
things
a
are.
second.
I think her name is Leslie Sansone, the walk aerobics person, and I exercise to those.
There
you go.
That.
You've used a term that I'm not familiar with. Exercise.
That is not true, Jim. I know you have. You've been part of an ongoing exercise program. In fact, you're looking rather svelte.
It's called Sweating with the Oldies.
Are you talking about me?
No.
I resemble that.
It's Richard Simmons. And,
there it is. Yeah.
I do some of those. You know those. What I do is I go on YouTube. I've done it again. I've derailed the whole thing.
Not a thing wrong with that. We got nothing going on.
I go on YouTube, and you know those little 60s and 70s dance videos where everybody's dancing around real silly. I use those for motivation.
So that's why when you walked in, you removed the sweatbands, your armbands, and that explains it.
And what people cannot see is under the table here, I'm still wearing my moon pants and my little 1970s Converse tennis shoes.
Grief.
So what else you got?
I don't know. Jim Eldridge, let's get away from Jim Dickerson for just a moment. I think one of the things you mentioned was that you've got a week-long pickup time, which generally, I mean, in the big city where I live, you get a day. In fact, you have to schedule it weeks, perhaps months in advance to get somebody to come out and pick up a bulky trash item. But you said this went for like 4 days. What was it?
Well,
It's
Go ahead, Randy.
first, I'd like to mention, Mike, that I do know a good real estate agent and I know a good banker.
I see what you're doing there.
Come on up to the promised land, to God's country, Kearney.
Indeed.
And
we'll
welcome you with open arms.
Yeah, we have a business here in Kearney, and I think that's a good start. So, yeah. But Jim, please tell us, for those that need to know, that this thing lasts a good amount of time.
actually you only get that one day,
Whoa.
and the one day that is your trash day is the day you have to act. So have it out on the curb by 7 a.m. on your trash day for the bulky item during the week of October the 21st. This is on the back of your water bill that you're going to be getting in the next day or so. And it's also on our website, this information. We work with Republic, who is our trash contractor.
Right.
So Republic will be doing this.
I see.
And it was their decision that they'd like to spread them out as to rather than pick up all in one day.
Right. So they've got. Go ahead, Randy. I can tell you got something.
Yeah, and I think really that's positive for our city.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of, the pickup days are through sections to the community, so you're not having to increase the traffic of
exactly
the big trucks and noise.
It's coming.
It's going to
You
work out
also
fine.
don't have trash sitting out on the street.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yep. And
if Mike moves into your neighborhood, you might get used to that.
well, I know what Jim's going to be doing that week. He's going to be driving through Kearney, picking up things for his home. Pieces of furniture and those sofas. I think that you were talking about,
And
Jim.
tube TVs.
Yeah,
We welcome those recyclers or scavengers, as how I call them. And so come ahead.
Way to repurpose, Jim. That's nice.
Make a note of what day that is.
Well, I know he doesn't have a truck, so I know he's going to duct tape the sofa to the top of his car. It's a thing to behold. I think he could pull this thing off.
Yeah, have you seen? I had a sofa on my smart car the other day. It looked pretty good. You know what a smart car is?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
There's a couple of other things I know that you have, Jim. In fact, you got a list in front of you.
Following our bulky item pickup, and I do. There's one caveat when you decide to have your fall cleanup. You can't take everything out of the curb. There is a bulk limit of 4 yards of material, and that's kind of vague on how they describe 4 yards, but we don't want 9 mattresses in front of your house,
right?
So or 6 sofas, and we've seen this happen, and Republic has strained to keep up with that kind of a material pickup. So be conscious that you only allow your own household to participate, and not a friend who lives out in the county.
There you
Our
go.
county friends, unfortunately, are not permitted to participate. And
So all of you people out in the county.
so this is a curbside recycling for cities
There it is.
only.
What did you say the limit was? 9? What is it?
4 cubic yards.
4 cubic yards.
what is that, like
Does it? Do they give you an example? Because I don't.
like
how
a
many?
They do
pickup
have
truck?
on our website. We do have a
Okay.
picture of.
Oh, I
and
see.
it's not. It doesn't make sense actually when you say that. But what we're trying to do with that picture is convey to you that we do have limits, and being reasonable is important here to keep our cleanup program alive.
I think, Jim, are you able to show that on camera there?
Let me see. We're going to do the Johnny
Yeah,
Carson.
see,
And
here.
they're going to
See
say,
if it-
"Well, that's 4 foot by 4 foot." Well, yeah, that is, but.
But assuming that's a 6
right
foot
there in the middle, it kind of
individual.
shows you.
and right there. It's not a whole lot of room. I mean,
But if you have a sofa it'll get picked up.
there you go.
If you have 2 mattresses of the box springs in the mattress, they'll pick them up.
Okay.
Just don't go hog wild and think they're going to pick up your whole house.
Right.
This is not to be used in conjunction with some major household remodeling effort that normally would require a dumpster be put in your yard.
There you go.
You're still going to have to do that. That is out of the ordinary and not anticipated by our cleanup effort. This is to get rid of things that you normally can't put in your container.
Makes sense to me. What else, Jim?
We have also the household hazardous waste program coming up. We get that every other year in Kearney. And October the 26th is our date. That's a Saturday from 8 a.m. to noon. And for the first time, this has always been held in the parking lot of City Hall, which is cramped and tight and creates traffic jams downtown. And because of the traffic, we want to move it to Mac Porter Park for the first time this year. And we'll have banners up at City Hall, and we'll put one at the recycling center to remind folks of it, and have a banner out on 33 Highway to Mac Porter Park, and it'll be in the big parking lot in the middle of between the 2 field complexes.
Very good. Now you knew I was going to ask
What is
this.
it?
What in the world? What
What is
hazard?
a household?
Yeah. What hazardous materials? Yeah. Household hazardous materials.
Right.
Your aftershave.
Our number one product produced is all those cans of paint that's been stored. Maybe even the house you moved into, they stored all of the cans of paint, and you want to get rid of them. Well, good news, if they're partially empty or nearly dry, just put them in your container and your trash container, and they're okay. But if there's liquid, if the paint is not dried out completely,
I see.
That's the paint that would be brought to this household hazardous waste. And both latex and oil-based paints are allowed. Cleaners, lawn and garden products, automotive fluids, lots of oil. People who still do their own oil changes.
Right.
We want you not to dump it in the storm drains. Oof. We want you not to put it in the backyard, in the corner of your yard, which, there's not a lot of alternatives for that. So what do you do with it? And so it gets stored up, and we welcome, they bulk that oil and they figure out a way to reuse it. So that's
Oh, wow.
a true recycling program. Same way with the paint. They bulk the paint, and it gets reused in a lot of cases, especially on the latex paint.
Wow, who knew?
So bug sprays and fluorescent lights, even alkaline batteries, all kinds of. Here you can bring your lead acid battery to us. We'll take batteries, no tires.
No tires. Now,
No tires.
Now that would imply that the like car batteries are not accepted.
Car batteries are accepted.
Okay, all right.
And motorcycle batteries, we see a lot of those. And so those things are permitted at our household hazardous waste collection site. And then this is for all Clay County residents, not just city residents, but all Clay County residents.
There you go. So this is where your cousin out in the country can participate.
Your cousin can,
Right.
your friend, your buddy. You don't have to sneak it onto the streets of Kearney. You can you just tell your buddy to drive it straight there himself because
Right.
he qualifies.
Yeah, so don't make me lug all of your junk around, all your household wastes. Yeah.
Don't we have a car limit, Jim? Is there a car limit to this for this project?
This is
Stumped him on that
this
one.
is household hazardous waste. This is not commercial. So you don't bring your trailer load of something that your business has
Oh,
generated.
there you go.
I'm not familiar with the limit.
Well, I guess if you've moved it to accommodate traffic, that you'd presumably then be there long enough for the line to empty up, or is there a time limit on it, Jim?
It is 8 a.m. to noon.
Okay, so get there by noon or forget
By
about
noon.
it. Yeah.
There is a car limit too.
There you go.
We bumped the limit before, but 200 cars is what they set us up for, and that's simply the quantity of the materials will fill up.
I see. Yeah.
And so they try to organize them and send out the proper number of pallets and the proper number of trucks to carry this stuff away.
Right. Okay.
And so.
Well, that makes sense. There's another. I'm going to shift gears a little bit. There's something else that you had talked about, Jim. That, and actually, I'm going to give this to Jim Dickerson. But we had talked about off the air the Kearney crime rate, and this is one of those things that I think, Jim, that you mentioned earlier. That we're very fortunate in the city of Kearney, Missouri, that the crime rate is exceedingly low. And
there's two parts to that we talked about
right.
Before we went on the air. Number one is the crime rate is low, and we'll get to that in a second. But also the public opinion and support of the police department is very high.
Yes,
and those kind of go hand in hand. And Mr. Mayor, we talked about that. So let's do crime rate first. How's the crime rate ranking in Kearney?
I'm pleased to announce that the statistics for 2018 were literally just released, I would say less than a month ago. And those statistics are pulled from data from the FBI and the data that our own police department provides on an annual basis. And Kearney continues to rank in the top 25 for the safest cities in Missouri. That's something that I'm very proud of. And, hats off to Chief Carey and his leaders and officers for doing the job that they do. I believe that they give it their best, and that's results are results, right? You can't argue the results, and they do a good job.
And then the other thing is we'll call it the public opinion of the police department. The things that the police department does in cooperation with the community and all the community events and all that, the support for the police department in Kearney is very good. It's high.
Yeah, once again, I'm going to chalk that up to the leadership of our police department. Chief Carey is totally approachable, and from somebody that's grown up in Kearney, like myself, always visible and always available to the residents, approachable, and genuinely cares about the safety of the residents and for the businesses. So I think he shows the importance of community policing and being involved and being active in the community. And with him leading, by example, it trickles down to his officers. And, I could name several officers, but really, it's my opinion that all of our police force in whole does a great job interacting with the residents, does a great job interacting with the businesses, and it shows in the statistics.
And so we've talked about the police department. We've talked about the pickup and all that sort of thing. The next thing I want to do is tell a little story about the mayor. But I think I'm going to wait till said story till we come back from the break. If you're okay with that, and if you're okay with that, we'll talk about it in just a minute. And if we're lucky, Brian can pull us some pictures, but we'll be right back in just a few minutes. You're listening to Kearney Live on 102.7 KPGZ. We'll
Kearney Trust Company is uniquely Kearney. They opened their doors in 1882 and have been financing goals and dreams ever since. Kearney Trust has a team of experienced lenders and a qualified staff to assist you with all of your financial needs. Your success is their priority. Whether you're looking for traditional checking and savings services, or you need cash management, mobile banking, mortgage, or lending services, Kearney Trust will provide you and your business with the resources you need to succeed. Information, speed, and convenience are all valuable commodities in our fast-paced world. For Kearney Trust Company, technology is an addition to, not a replacement for the personal banking relationship they like to have with their customers. The people of Kearney Trust Company focus on and try to fit the needs of all their customers. Kearney Trust Company is your partner for success with 2 convenient locations in Kearney at 310 West 92 Highway and 701 Watson Drive in Price Chopper. The phone number is 816-628-6666. Kearney Trust Company. Banking you can trust. Member FDIC.
And welcome back to Kearney Live. The funny thing about when you're the mayor of a city, you are also a citizen of that city. And Jim Dickerson, I think you had mentioned just before we went to break that you wanted to talk a little bit about something that we even have a photo of the citizen Randy Pogue, not Mayor Randy.
I don't know
Pogue.
if we have the photo where we can show it here, but you can go look it up on Facebook. But so how many cities do you know where the mayor would actually see, hypothetically, some water that's built up on the street and that sort of thing, and then realize, a storm drain is covered, and then actually physically get out of their car, go clean up said storm drain so it could drain off the street? And it cleared the street pretty quickly, and that would be our mayor, Randy Pogue, who joins us here today. Randy, tell us about your battle with that storm drain and the collateral damage that came as a result.
Well,
take your time.
I do think anybody would have realized that was a potential issue and take the opportunity to unclog the drain.
Maybe.
So it would drain and no longer continue to build up on the street. But I did on my personal Facebook page share a couple of photos and some funny comments about I literally just got the drain unclogged. I was down on my hands and knees.
Oh, goodness.
And I mean, the water was almost over the curb, so it was a lot of water, and traffic up to that point was being really kind and respectful and diverting from the area so I wouldn't get soaked. But this particular black F-150 that I have no clue who it was. I think it was somebody maybe looking for an opportunity to pay me back, or maybe saw the opportunity like, hey, I can't pass this up. But literally seconds after I got it unclogged, it just started draining, drove right. I mean, sped up, right? I heard the truck accelerate and drive through the large puddle of water, and I was soaked. My wife and son were down the road watching and
laughing.
They thought it was comical as well.
I wish we had video of that. But the question is, black F-150, who was that person? Do you know who you are?
Yeah, there was one individual that mentioned that they were behind the truck, and they also thought that it was comical, and they witnessed the event, it appears. So
yeah, it looked like a ski board wake. I can see it right now. Yeah,
now there's a black F-150 driver who's a little nervous because they're like, I didn't realize that was the mayor.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll have to tell you, my wife just sent me a message. She's listening, and she just said that she's still laughing. So
I was going to suggest that perhaps she was the one driving the black F-150. Maybe not.
Yeah, like I said, that's funny story. Now I look back and definitely laugh. But
the point being, though, there are not too many mayors that I'm aware of that would actually, most of them, honestly, would probably just pick up the phone and call Public Works and say, hey, come out here and fix this. But you got out there and took care of it yourself. Yeah. Hats off to the mayor for that.
And got a shower at the same time.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But to me, that's Kearney, right? Kearney's full of great people. Our own city administrator walks every weekend and has a pocket full of trash bags. And if you ever notice, Jim typically walks 10 miles plus a weekend in Kearney. And for years, he's done this and picks up trash. And you'll notice his trash bags on the side of the road. I seen some last weekend or the weekend before through the shops of Kearney, watching drive. And I saw him driving back with his hat and picking up the bags later. So I appreciate that, but really Kearney's full of many great people that genuinely care about the community. No
doubt about that, and thanks for that, Jim. We appreciate that.
And Jim, quick question for you. So how long have you owned your black F-150?
I sold it 2 weeks ago. I didn't own it at the time.
Oh,
just man. Test driving it. Hey, look at this.
Oh, that is a good story right there. Jim, I have Jim Eldridge. I have to be clear in here since there are a couple of Jims. You mentioned also that there is one more amphitheater event coming up, and let's talk about that real quickly.
It is the 8th annual Jim Bach Memorial Oktoberfest, and it's going to be on Saturday, October the 5th. And they start early at 2 o'clock. And we'll have Brian McCarty's polka band, and he has been our regular. He is a great entertainment. It's fun. And like I said, this is afternoon entertainment. It will be all done if you think it's Saturday night, because we end pretty early. But it's 2 to 5 p.m. on Saturday, I believe. It may run a little later than that.
It depends on how many people are doing the polka, dancing, and that could go on a couple of days. I'm told.
I think I'm wrong about that. The 5 p.m. shut off time.
I wish we didn't know. We could have pulled up that audio clip.
It may run till 8 o'clock, I think.
All right. Well,
it's $5 admission. Typical Oktoberfest, German food and beverages and music. It's a great event, and I would encourage anybody that's available looking for something to do to check it out.
So you've done this before, obviously.
Yes, sir. I've been there.
Yeah. It sounds like a lot
great
of fun.
Time.
Yeah.
They have the Knights of Columbus are going to provide food concessions, and they'll have themed foods there, such as the bratwursts and cabbage rolls, and
you had me at bratwurst. You lost me at cabbage roll. You're going to have to bring me back. What else you got?
Roast pork.
I'm back in the game. All right. Okay, here we go.
And German potato salad. Things bad. Like that.
Not bad.
Pavatica. What is that?
Povatitsa. Povatitsa is the is the bread that is actually it's rolled up and it generally has, in fact, any number of things. But the ones that I really like are the like the cinnamon, and
English walnut, apple cinnamon.
yeah. I believe, what is it? Strawberry Hill Bakery makes the Povatizza bread that I believe you could probably find over at the Price Chopper. I'm not sure, but you pick one of these things up and you expect it to. It's about the size of a loaf of bread, and you think, "Oh, this is going to be about like a loaf of bread." No, these things are heavy. I mean, it is good eating, and you just slice.
You eat a whole thing of a loaf of bread?
I love me some Povatizza, and I could eat the whole Povatizza roll. Believe me.
Do they give it to you as a whole roll?
Yeah. You have to slice it off, but it's it's delicious. I'm a big fan, and so
I had visions of Mike eating this big loaf of bread thing out there.
I hate to admit some of the things that that I've consumed in one setting. So, yeah. I used to live alone. There was no food shaming in my house going on. So just so you know. So, all right, with the Povatizza, we got that. Anything else, Jim?
Well, we also have an event that kind of concludes our Parks and Rec schedule, and that's
Kearney is just full of events.
That's the kids' Fall Fest. That's October the 12th.
Okay.
Again, on a Saturday, 2 to 5 p.m. In Jesse James Park, and this is we have a whole lot of blow up toys, bounce toys for kids to play on, and it's absolutely free to all who come.
Very cool.
And there'll be rides and games and food and fun. So
food.
Yes, there will be cotton candy and just.
Okay,
snack fare, popcorn.
You had me at cotton candy.
Right?
Yeah.
Typically hot dogs.
There you go.
You got me there.
The Lions Club comes and helps out with some of the concessions, and actually several of the groups and businesses will be out there volunteering their help to provide some concessions.
And that's October 12th.
October the 12th,
right.
2 to 5 p.m.
Wow. So just so people know, there is a calendar here on the City of Kearney website. Is that right, Randy?
There is.
So all of these events, Jim, I'm sure, if folks are wondering, go to your City of Kearney official website, which is ci.kearney.mo.us. Now, that sounds like alphabet soup.
That's a tough one. You can also simply type in kearneymo.us.
There you go.
kearneymo.us takes you to right there. And everything I've talked about is I've printed these off of of our website, so it's very handy.
There you go.
To go to the under departments, go to Parks and Recreation, and all of these things will be found easily. And also we have senior trips that we sponsor, and we have the new calendar out for the Quality Hill Playhouse and the new theater restaurant. We go regularly.
Wow,
we rent buses. These are over-the-road motor class, over-the-road buses, not school buses.
Motor coach.
Motor coach. Is that the word we use? And so those depart from Mac Porter Park, the parking lot, and we encourage folks to take a look at the schedule. They can buy their tickets online now. On our website, and so to go again to kearneymo.us.
What a ton of fun! Yeah, how about that?
So, the interesting thing, he brings up that website, Mike. What a beautiful time for you to talk about the new web address we have,
102,
which is very similar, but I think because it's all about Kearney.
Indeed, we wanted to be more about Kearney. You can still get to our website at 1027fm.rocks. That'll always be there. But this one's easier to remember. It is 1027kearneymo.com. Write it down, 1027kearneymo.com, and it'll get you to the same place, and you'll get all the information that you could possibly need about 102.7 FM. We got about 8 minutes or so left, Randy. I know you got some things on your mind that you were hoping to cover today. I can see it. I can see it on your face. What do you got on your mind? What's happening in the city that you'd like for people to know in the last 8 minutes of the show?
Yeah, it's been right over 5 months since I was elected mayor of Kearney, and wow. It's been a busy 5 months. It's really gone by really fast. we've really made some progress on the new interchange. Yeah, people often ask the status. Hey, we're not seeing any dirt move yet. Things take time, let alone a $25 million project.
Right.
So, and then also there's been a lot of progress on our headworks project at our wastewater treatment facility. That project itself, is very important for our community as we continue to grow. It's not one where I think, unless you're walking past on the walking trail, that the community is going to really see and understand the importance of the headworks facility.
Mm-hmm.
But as the EPA continues to increase their standards and regulations, this project, this facility is really going to up the notch of our water treatment process and really get out in a time where things are more and more being disposed of through the sewer, the wastewater process. Right. This equipment, when you say, what is a headworks? A lot of people don't know what that is. Well, it's really the head, the beginning of the wastewater treatment process. And what this is going to do is things that can damage equipment, right, and make that process more difficult. It takes out those items before it gets to that point. So that's a huge improvement. It's hard to get excited about things like that, but that project is progressing well. I was actually on site yesterday talking with our supervisor there, Mike Fort, who's done a great job kind of leading that project and overseeing it. And it's progressing well.
Well, I think anybody who has seen the after effects of even a creek or a waterway that's been flooded, you will see all manner of things that have floated down the river and then are deposited up on the bank as the water level lowers back to its normal height. It's amazing to see more than buckets. I mean, car parts. We're talking about all kinds of gigantic plastic things that, if you can imagine it going, all those things, attempting to go into, the beginnings of a water cleaning treatment process facility. It's remarkable that all of those things don't somehow, find their way in, or some things find their way in that could potentially damage these things, the whole system, in somewhat irreparably, you'd think.
Yeah, and specifically for Kearney, our this upgrade to our wastewater treatment facility is obviously, as I mentioned, for the EPA and the continued increase of regulations and requirements for that treatment, but it also allows Kearney is going to continue to grow, and the city continuing to invest back in our infrastructure and make sure that as Kearney continues to grow, that there's no disruptions or slowdowns in that process.
Yeah.
We want everybody to be able to take showers, to be able to flush the toilet every day, and there not be any issues. So to where, like I said, the average citizen may not realize that's going on, right, or wonder why we're spending money and investing in that infrastructure. It's really important for Kearney long term.
That's the way you like it. You like to know, I can turn the shower on, here's the hot water, and you can flush the stool, and it works. And boy, when it doesn't, that's when you are thinking about
Absolutely.
it. Yep. So far so good, it sounds to me like.
Yes, it's. I think by this winter they'll be working on the inside and hopefully, 6 months or so. You think we're about 6 months out?
Approximately 6 months.
Yeah. That project will be completed.
Very good. Outstanding. We got a couple of minutes left. Jim, you got anything?
Well, we could take a moment to, as it becomes a new part of Kearney, because we do hear a lot of comments about it, and we'll let the mayor discuss it as well, but we can take today's program and make it educational in nature. I'm talking about traffic circles. There seems to be some confusion of traffic circles, and let's face it, folks, these are becoming a way of life. It's not an option. You've got to go. So here's the thing. as you come into the traffic circle, or do you want to do this?
Go ahead.
There is one instruction. Look to your left. That's all you have to do. Look to your left.
Actually, it's as you're coming in,
Right.
you look to your left.
Right.
If you're in the circle, you have the right of way.
Correct.
Just keep going. It's like Chevy Chase. I can't get left. Just keep going. You can go around for days or until you run out of gas. If you're coming into the circle, you do not have the right of way. You need to follow Mike's advice and look left.
And yield.
If there's somebody there, stop. If there's not, go.
All right, that's 3 instructions.
But so it is. If you think about it, it's so simple. It's very simple.
I think Randy wants to add to this before we close.
No, Jim, also want to ask is, if you would do a public service announcement,
I think he just did.
You've got the AV, you got the equipment to do a video. I will be happy to share that on my Mayor Randy Pogue Facebook page.
I would love to go do a service announcement, and I'll come out and I'll join the police department, and we can stand out here on 92 and do a public service announcement on how to do it. And we'll make your roads safer.
In case you wondered if this was a personal experience of one Jim Dickerson, indeed it was. Hey, listen, thank you so much for joining us today on Kearney Live. We do this every Wednesday at noon, and we appreciate it when you tune in. Come back next week. We'll do much of the same thing. We sure appreciate you being here. See you then.